Hello everyone and welcome to my channel once again. So I finally reached level 100 a few days ago. Yes, I know I'm probably the slowest content creator alive, and I was also able to test the new endgame content to see what it's like so that I can optimize my builds accordingly, right? Because I didn't want to just make builds that are like good on the paper and are based on the previous season and pushing pit, etc. You know, and then realize, okay, I don't need that much damage or I don't need that much survivability, etc. Because that would just make people, you know, maybe like chase after wrong items. And bleeds were nerfed, okay? Like the gushing wounds got it extremely period. It just got it right. I still have a bleed variant of the Whirlwind build that works and is really strong, but it requires extremely good items to work properly. So today I will focus on the non-bleed version, though of course in the description down below there is a link to my planner and you can scroll between the variants. So whether you want to do bleeds or whether you want to play the normal direct damage Whirlwind, that's up to you. But today I will focus on, in this guide, I will focus on the non-bleed version, and I will also have gameplay from the non-bleed version. So let's start off with some showcase. Now, a lot of people asked me to also explain like the rotation, so I written it down in the guide, in the description, but I will also tell you right now. So we will start with Call of the Ancients. That's the ultimate of choice that we are running right now. After that, we are gonna use Ground Stomp, because as you can see in the description, it reduces the cooldown of our ultimate. So that's why we want to sequence it like that, so that the cooldown is running, then Ground Stomp will reduce the cooldown of our Call of the Ancients, and then we use all of our shouts. Because we are using Martial Glyph, it will reduce the cooldown even further, and that is how we achieve the highest uptime on Call of the Ancients with this build, as well as some super high uptime on the Ground Stomp Earthquakes. So as I said, we will go for Call of the Ancients, Ground Stomp, all of our shouts, and then we are just pumping. As you can see, we already have the Call of the Ancients backup, and the damage, as you can see, is absolutely insane. Like, this build is crazy, and you will soon realize that I'm not min-maxed at all. Like, I don't have, you know, 3 out of 3 masterworks. I don't have you know, best in slot gear. I don't have the Dust Devil cast twice, you know, at least not the way I liked it. So yeah, the potential is still extreme. And now let's see how this build works. It is very mythic heavy build, okay? I'm not gonna lie. It is very mythic heavy. You need Shaco, etc. for this to really excel. But the drop rate was buffed so high that in just like 30 kills, I got all the Ubers, and even several times I was even able to salvage like 15 Ubers to try and roll for greater ethics on my Ubers. Like, that crazy. Okay, so definitely you know, run those tormented rotas so that you can get your mythic items. Now, of course, I need to thank all of my friends, all of my clan members who helped me not only level up, but also took me, you know, through some Uber bosses when I had, you know, no materials, etc. So definitely thanks for that. And let's jump right into it. So Harlequin Crest, in the description down below you will see what are like the priority GAs, so that I don't have to explain every single item separately, to not make the video even longer than it usually is, because I talk probably way too much. So Shaco for the insane cooldown reduction, Tyrell Smite, DR resistance. This is solo, like solo gets the resistances capped, so this is like absolutely bonkers. Plus, of course, we get the extra damage from the bolts. Then we are playing Rumble Aspect. So Groundstorm creates earthquakes, damaging enemies, blah blah blah. That's not really what we care about all that much, but it gives us 25% X while we are standing in our earthquakes. And because we have so much cooldown reduction and we have Martial Glyph to reduce the cooldown even further, we can get up to 3 earthquakes at the same time. Which is insane. The way we do it is that we play Earthquake Duration on our gloves, and then we also play it on our boots. Like, I'm 8 out of 12, so it will be even better once I reach the maximum masterwork there for the Earthquake Durations. Then we are playing Tibaults Will. Now Shaco, just to mention, got buffed or changed, and now also gives us max resource. Okay, so we have max resource there. Then we play Tibaults Will for even more max resource, all stats, you know, the DR, everything is great. When we are unstoppable, we also get up to 20% Axe. Okay, and we are unstoppable all the time, so this is always active, so that's insane boost to our damage in this build. From the tests that I did with Arreat's Bearing, which I also have in my stash, but not the very good ones. Let me see just quickly where they are. So I tested these. I don't have them upgraded because I don't have materials yet. You know, so I just tested against dummies, and the damage went down a lot. Like a lot. Okay, so like maybe if I had them upgraded, maybe if I had them GA, then they would be approximately as strong, but because we are playing Mobalytics, I don't see that. Okay, so just like if you see builds playing Arreat's Bearing, or if you have like super good ones and no Tibaults Will, then they are definitely something you can play, and they will be really strong. But yeah, from what I tried, especially because we are playing Mobalytics, Tibaults Will are better. The gems in the armory are amethysts for more strength, because Dust Devils count as skills, so increasing skill damage will increase the Dust Devil damage, and we don't really need that much survivability with this build, yeah. More strength is always good. Then the boots, fury per second, super important here. Because yeah, Mobalytics now consumes 10 fury every second. So with this and our increased fury generation, we pretty much like, you know, negate that completely. And then of course Warcry, and I already mentioned the Earthquake Duration. And the aspect here is Wild Bolt. Like, you might see builds running Relentless Berserker, but we don't actually need it. We can have 100% uptime on Berserking even without any Berserking aspect, and this gives us another 10% multiplier, as well as it helps us stack the mobs in place, right? So like when we are running around the events in Infernal Hordes, which is pretty much the only end game that you should be running if you want to be really efficient in getting your gear and materials, and it's quite a lot of fun as well. You know, this really helps. Finish the events. Then we have our mace. Here, of course, we need to triple masterwork on the chance for Dust Devils to cast twice. Now, I wasn't lucky. I have pretty low roll here, so I will not reach 100. So that will be insane DPS loss. But yeah, like, it still works, okay? And it still works really, really well. The aspect here is Dust Devils. We need that on the two-hander because that's the biggest source of our damage, of course, that Whirlwind leaves Dust Devils. Then we are playing one-handed mace. this is really, really important. It has to be mace. Okay, it has to be mace, and I will explain why a little bit later. Here we are playing Devilish and Dust Devil size. Again, we want to crit that 3 times because we want to go as close to 100% Dust Devil size as possible, because through our other aspects we are gonna turn that size into multiplicative damage increase, right? So still losing a lot of damage here. Then Ramaladni, the bread and butter of this build. Like right now I have 269 fury, okay, 269 with imperfect gear, you know, no GAs or not enough GAs on like the max resource, right? And I don't even have any elixirs right now on me, and eventually we want to reach 100% crit strike chance without an elixir, so that we can play resourcefulness elixir to give us another 25 max resource, which turns, like, every resource that we have turns into 0.5% multiplier, which is insane. We can reach 150% multiplier through Ramaladnis, which is way stronger than if you see Whirlwind builds, you know, running mace as their weapon of choice. Okay, so like this is way stronger. Like, I've tried, this is like it's you know, earth and heaven. Like Ramaladni, definitely for non-bleed Whirlwind, I would say the only way to min-max the damage. Again, here you would want like the max resource, like, right? Because yeah, we want to go as high as possible to max out on the weapon now that we are using it. Then Grandfather, here again it got changed, again gives us max resource, same as Harlequin Crest. So everything is playing into our cards for the Ramaladni. So that is awesome. Then our ring, here we are playing Bold Chieftain aspect because we want to be reducing the cooldowns of our shouts as much as possible. We want 100% uptime on them, and plus we want to, yeah, like even if they're already running, we want to keep pressing them to keep reducing our cooldowns. Then Starless Skies, you know, crit strike chance, super important here. You could say that everywhere we can, we are masterworking the crit strike chance, apart for the amulet, because we want to reach the 100%. And actually, even apart from our ring, you will see in the description down below that we want to hit damage while berserking twice here instead. Okay, so that we reach the perfect 300% berserking for our Blood Rage node. And then on our amulet, I have crit strike chance and counter offensive. Here, instead of the movement speed, I'd like to have person strength, because we are stacking strength everywhere, right? We are also masterworking, you know, on some items on strength, or can masterwork on strength, respectively. The Grandfather, I recommend going for the all stats if you have the strength amulet, because yeah, that will simply be stronger. It will also help us reach the 100% crit strike chance, because every 100 dexterity is 2% crit strike chance. So getting all stats masterworked on the Grandfather is really, really beneficial for this build. So back to the amulet, I would like to have strength here, and the movement speed I would like to have on my boots instead of strength here. So that would have been much better. And the aspect here is Fierce Winds. The reason I have it on an amulet here is because we want to go, as I told you, as close to the Dust Devil size as possible to the 100% cap, right? In other builds, like where we are not using the Grandfather or Ramaladni, we can reach the 100% or close to 100% without Fierce Wind on our amulet. But because having it on the amulet makes it go to 30% increased size, then together with the Masterworks on our mace, we will reach super high numbers. I think it's like 97% size, which, as I said, through this aspect turns into multiplicative And of course, we are going for Warcry cooldown reductions. As I said a billion times, the uptime on our shouts is super important. Then for our expertise, we are using 200 expertise for increased damage against vulnerable enemies, as always. And here, let me show you why we are using mace, okay, or one of the reasons, which will further synergize with our other skills and passives. So when using mace, we have 10% multiplicative damage increase, 100 mace I mean, against stunned enemies, which is a lot of enemies thanks to us spamming ground stomp, right? It also has a lucky hit to gives us berserking, which further helps us have 100% uptime on it without having any aspect that that would help us with that, right? That's why we don't need any of those aspects. Then we of course have one-handed sword, which gives us extra fury and killing a crowd controlled enemy, which by the way, our taunt is a crowd control, gives us some extra attack speed, you know, and it helps us with fury generation. Then when we look at abilities, we just put 2 points like anywhere. Then we go here, we actually don't put a lot of points into Whirlwind, just 1, so that we can get enhanced Whirlwind for another fury generator and furious Whirlwind to put bleeds on enemies, which will help us get, you know, the DR against bleeding enemies, etc. 1 point in pressure point, which will also help us with vulnerable on enemies, as you know, together with the chance, lucky hit chance on our gloves and rings. So we have 3 sources of a lucky hit to put enemies into vulnerable state, which will give us of course the vulnerable damage increase as well as vulnerable DR. Then of course the ground stomp, with the strategic ground stomp to have super high uptime on Call of the Ancients. Then all the defensives, rallying cry for fury generation and strategic rallying cry for permanent fortified. Then challenging shout with enhanced challenging shout for extra survivability. Then we are maxing out on war cry. We are dumping all of the points there to get insane damage boost. As you can see, it's 31.5% axe, and I don't have, you know, the masterworks, no GA on the war cry, etc. Like it can go way higher. And of course for war cry, because in Infernal Hordes there are so many enemies everywhere, and even in the pit, that this is super value. Then of course we need booming voice for the shout duration, and raid leader. This is how we heal, because you can see I don't have iron skin. This is how we heal, or one of the sources of heal that we have. This actually belongs here. Then we have some DR, and now you might be like asking, why did you just put 1 point into battle fervor? Well, Battle Fervor actually works with our war cry generating tornadoes through the Fierce Wind aspect, and like it thinks that we hit it with the brawling, with a brawling ability if we have this Fierce Winds and war cry. So by doing that, it will further help us keep our berserking. Then we are taking counter offensive. You know, this is like the best passive that you can get, because we are not playing two-handers, so heavy-handed does nothing for us, right? So this is definitely the best one. Taking Pitfire, you know, taking all of the multipliers that we can get. Then finally Call of the Ancients to get the sweet 25% X multiplier. Here we have another source of heal for every 100 fury we spend, and because we are pressing Whirlwind like non-stop, you know, like over and over and over, this procs a lot. So this together with Arreat Leader is insane healing. And then we are playing Wallop. Finally, we are at the point where I told you that we have another synergy with playing one-handed maces, and that is 15% Axe against vulnerable or stunned enemies, which are pretty much all the enemies. And then playing Unconstrained. Unconstrained is the best passive kind of right now, like in general, because everything else got gutted. So Unconstrained is massive, and of course Unconstrained boosts the damage of our Dust Devils. Then when we look at the Paragon board, here we are playing a Rumble. Now, thanks to the Earthquake duration that we have on our gear, we can have up to 3 Earthquakes, giving us not only the 25% X from the aspect, but another 30% X from this glyph, which makes it way stronger than Fists of Fate. We never play Fists of Fate unless we are playing the Bleed variant, because Fists of Fate, if we have infinite, number of instances of damage, are 50% X, increase to our damage, right? Because we can either do just 1% of our damage, so we will do like nothing, or 300%, and you might get unlucky and just, keep proccing the 1%. In theory, right? You would need infinite amount of instances, but you can also proc the 300 a lot, right? But in average, it's 50%. But it's 50% in one multiplier, right? While with playing the Rumble glyph, and the aspect, the Earthquake aspect, we have 25% X and then a separate 30% X, making it even stronger. Then we are going up to the Warbringer node, taking all of the extra Fury. Thanks to Fury on kill in this board, we don't need to play it on our mace. Here we are playing Exploit to further help us with the vulnerable on enemies. Then we are taking the Bonebreaker board, playing Rev as per usual, getting another DR, a lot of HP here, going up for the Blood Rage node, where we are maxing out on the Twister. The Twister glyph got fixed, so it now works. It now also gives us a 13% multiplier, after creating a Dust Devil, which is absolutely awesome. And this is pure Dust Devil build, so of course we are maxing out on it. Then we are taking the Blood Rage node. As you can see, I don't have it at 30%, unfortunately, but pretty close. So that turns all of our damage while Berserker into multiplier. Going up, taking the Decimator node. Of course, we also need the Legendary node here for some extra multipliers. Playing the Ire glyph here for some extra DR, as well as damage while Berserking to help us, reach the 300% cap. Taking some extra vulnerable damage as well as a DR against vulnerable. Here we are going to the right, taking the Carnage board. We are not taking the attack speed. We don't really need attack speed. Dust Devils are capped. Plus, we are never holding Whirlwind. Please, never ever hold Whirlwind. You need to be pressing it. You need to be pressing it if you want to do damage, or if you want to do, more damage. And here we are playing Ambidextrous because we are dual wielding, so this is another multiplier, and of course boosting all the surrounding nodes. And then finishing with a Flawless Technique board. Again, some extra free DR, absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Playing Marshall here, as I told you, to help us with the cooldown reduction on our abilities. And because this is dual wielding build, then we of course benefit from the crit strike damage with one-handed weapons here as well. So yeah, the synergies are absolutely insane. Now let me show you also why I said that you need to be pressing Whirlwind. So if I hold Whirlwind, you can see the amount of tornadoes is like, yeah, they are there, okay? And we are also shooting the Tiral Smite, right? But now look when I'm pressing it. Look when I'm like literally destroying the button. Not only we get more tornadoes, way more tornadoes, we also get way more Tiral Smite bolts. So please, never never ever keep it pressed down, unless, I don't know, you're just lazy farming some low content, where yeah, you don't need to maximize on the damage that much. So I hope you liked the first part of my guide, which is the non-bleed variant. I will of course have the bleed variant for you as fast as possible. And now just enjoy some Infernal Hordes gameplay. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Ciao!